Hello everyone, it's Lindenherz. A massive catch-up I have to do on LenorMarch. Oh my gosh, I haven't even looked at the spreads one and I still have to deal with some of the cards. Yeah, it's difficult at the moment to find the right time to upload videos because it's so busy. And sometimes the lighting is not perfect and so on and so forth. I'm seriously starting developing all my plans for my future Etsy shop. Yeah, and all these kind of things are circling in my head, and sometimes it's hard to find extra space for videos. But I want to give this a go, and you probably will find these videos on YouTube up until next week, I guess. Maybe you're still interested in watching them. A little side note on my Fabulous LenorMarch series. As you can guess by now, those of you who watched it, this will a video series that I will continue during April. And I don't know if I will be able to finish it in April, but I still want to continue, and it's not bound to March at all, so we can learn LenorMarch all the time. So so you will be able to delve into the series anytime you want to do it. So let's start here with this catch up. So day 21, woman lilies. Woman is okay. This is clear. This is the significator card, the female significator, and the lilies are about balance and harmony. And I also found in the little description cards that come with the Whisper LenorMarch, these one, you find also, you see here, lily, maturity, peace, serenity, and release, which is quite interesting. So, and you see here, of course, querent or significator. But I really like the idea of release, so I will see how this will work in future readings. The other question was, what does the divine feminine mean to you, and how is that connected with harmony and balance in your life? Well, I've read that question before and still have to figure out an answer to that. I was quite surprised. Sometimes have no concrete words to the divine feminine. It is an important part of my life, and it was fascinating to discover this other part of the divine. And although I wasn't strictly raised as Christian, there was some certain background circling, I guess, in my childhood within society, I guess. So it was always God, it was always a He, and so on. It was always the Son of God. It was, the whole church was some kind of a man's club, so to speak. And this was something I wasn't fond of. I thought this quite an unfair thing, I have to say. And also the kind of the woman is always the seducer, and it's all the women's fault. And this is something I was pissed off. Sorry. And that's the reason Christianity in general never resonated with me that much, because of this kind of world view. And when I started to discover paganism and also witchcraft and also to some degree Wicca, I was quite fascinated about this more balanced view. I know there are also pagans and also witches who are more focused on the divine feminine than the divine masculine. And I have to be honest, I was also at first more focused on the divine feminine, I guess, because this was something I was lacking for so long in my life. But nowadays I'm getting more open to the divine masculine, and but the divine feminine is something which gave me more balance, and it was, I guess it was some kind of the entry or the access to paganism and to my spirituality in general. So it's hard to wrap it in words, or to make it clear, because sometimes it's something which happens on a heart level, and it's quite hard to explain. So it certainly gives me more balance in my life, and I don't know if if I answered that question in a good way. Researched that. What does the mind now? How is that connected with harmony and balance in your life? So, like I said, it's strongly connected to harmony and balance, because, like I said, it was something totally new. It opened my eyes to all the possibilities, and also the possibility to create my very own spiritual path. Before that, I was always on a search for, I guess, for my own spirituality, but I searched within certain religions and never felt that comfortable, because quite often because of dogma. So this kind of developing my own spirituality, which brings also great sense of responsibility, of course, was something I still explore, and which is still very very fulfilling, and is enriching my life. So I guess I answered that question with these two cards. So for the next one, I just had to take also the Celtic LenorMarch, because I so love the Sun and Moon card in this. Of course, the Sun is quite a positive card about happiness, about success and growth, not growth. I sometimes have to figure out how to pronounce certain words, so they don't get maybe a bit misunderstood. I I recognized in my last LenorMarch video, or LenorMarch video, I described the book title, or said a book title which was called Dragon Horse, and I guess it was Ametrine who said Dragon Horse. So not Dragon Horse, but horse, but sometimes it's a bit tricky, and don't ask me why this book is called that way. It's it's possibly the reason. I also told Ametrine that it's possibly the reason the German publisher changed the title into The Ruby Dragon. Makes a bit more sense, but like Drachenpferd. Sorry, even in German it sounds silly. So Sun and Moon. Of course, the Sun, like I said, success and happiness. What gives what has the little one here, the little card? Also success, goals, reach, and energy. And for Moon, we have recognition, romance, creativity, fame, and emotions. Fame. This is interesting. What is Kelly's sheet telling me here? It's intuition, emotion, recognition, and rising, which is also quite nice and wonderful. So the question was, this was quite difficult. What are your Sun and Moon signs, and how do you see those as reflecting your outer and inner selves? Yeah, I have to be honest, I never knew my moon sign until a couple of minutes ago, or a couple of weeks ago. Okay, I have had to research it a couple of minutes ago again. But so my sun sign is Cancer. It's basically Cancer, and I always felt like this because of Cancer. I know it's also about a person who is creative, who is very intuitive, led by or ruled by emotions sometimes. and is a person, and I feel that way too, who loves home, homely things, loves family, and so on, security. So I resonate very much with this. And then I researched my moon sign, and my moon sign is Gemini. And it was interesting to know because from what I've read, Gemini is an air sign. And this makes quite sense to me because I'm also quite often a very not necessarily a rational person, but sometimes quite sometimes they're really, really strong, living strong inside my mind or my head, and sometimes overanalyze something, or thinking, musing, and all that. Sometimes, terrible stuff that can come up with being possibly ruled by air, that you muse over things too much. And this is this is something I'm guilty for musing too much, and overthinking and overanalyzing certain stuff. And sometimes it's a quite interesting contrast between emotions and this this kind of captivity inside the mind, if this makes sense at all. Sometimes I tend to be quite what we call here in German verkopft, and sometimes it's the whole other way around, and sometimes I guess both sides are fighting. So this makes quite much sense to me. Yeah. What was another part of the question? Always lose the line. How do you see those as reflecting your outer and inner selves? Yeah, outside. Inside, like I said, in intuition versus the mind. And outside, I sometimes also tend to be a bit more of a mind, or someone who firstly tries to observe before reacting. But when this is one of the things I also mentioned in another LenorMarch video, when something captures my interest and my passion is triggered, so to speak, then I'm off and can be quite emotional and passionate about something. So yeah, I guess that's the answer for these two cards here. Off to the key and the fishes, or the fish. It's the fishes or the fish? The fish, okay. The key, it's a positive card, success, certainty, and answer. What do we have here on the little card? It's wealth and business, prosperity and depth. This is also quite interesting, depth. So, and we have the key for solution and yes answers. So this is quite interesting. The key was, certainty and answer. So Kelly basically has quite the same thing on her sheet. So the question was, tell us your key to financial success. Yeah, lol, it's okay. What does abundant success, which doesn't have to relate to money, look like to you? And do you have a plan in action or otherwise to get there? Oh gosh, this is even more complicated than the other questions about the divine feminine. What does abundant success mean to me? So I guess it really doesn't relate to money, I guess. I guess sometimes it's when I'm working on something creative, on a creative project, when I see the reactions of others, how well it's received, how well people reacting to this. This is, to me, some kind of abundant success. I had an experience when it was my early 20s. It was my early 20s. I wrote a lot of short stories. And one of the short stories I have written, I gifted to an elderly lady in our neighborhood who was already not the healthiest person anymore and wasn't able to walk properly and so on and so forth. And I gave her my short story to read, and when she gave me her feedback, the one that really made all the difference, and that was so amazing, was this story gave me hope. And I know this was a feeling of, it was a feeling of bliss actually to me, and one of the biggest rewards I've ever get, or the biggest, I guess, inside and outside. As so, I can't really explain. It was doing something on a heart level with me, and of course, financial success is also great. Of course. A couple of years later, I was able to publish my first short novels within an a collection of short stories, which was published by an independent little independent publisher. And I know this was so amazing when that happened, and I was published with my name and on it, and the publisher was thrilled to get a story that he hadn't much to edit. I guess the only thing that we had to change was the title, because the title was already I guess some short story, or some this is also quite nice. Some short story also had or some story in general had this title I choose. I don't actually, at the moment, I don't recall the original title I gave this story. I only know the German title, Wolfserwachen, the awakening of the wolf, or wolf's awakening. It's basically you could call it a werewolf story to some degree, or shapeshifter story. So this was quite amazing. And I know to get this success, it was this kind of straightforward thinking. This, I will work. This doesn't necessarily mean that you always have to be, or can become successful. But at that point, it all played together well, so to speak. And at the moment, while I'm preparing to start with my heart-centered business, I guess it's about the heart, and it's about the things I love. And this is at the moment my key to success, actually, to be the most authentic I can be with myself and with my talents. So basically, that's the answer to these two cards. So, and finally, the anchor and the cross. And can I just say, these two look so wonderful, so iconographic, so wonderful. And I want to share with you something I almost forgot. This very morning, I got an email from the creator of the Whispers Lenormand, or the Whisper Lenormand, by Terry Smith. And she actually watched my videos where I shared these decks within certain LenorMarch videos, and she also watched other videos where this deck, I guess, I don't know her first name at the moment, Pathways and Possibilities. She has the regular size deck, whereas I have the mini sized version, and she was so happy to see that one of her creations was used that way and was loved that way. And it was a wonderful and lovely mail to receive, actually, from the creator of this deck. So thank you, Terry Smith, if you're watching this too. This was a wonderful mail to receive. So, but about the anchor and the cross, the last two cards. Okay, the anchor, Kelly says here in this sheet, is a neutral card. It's about work, stability, and routine. And this little one, it's also security and stability. And the cross, the cross, negative card, burden, fate, destiny. I also find here suffering, burdens, here again, sacrifice, sacrifice, spiritual ties, and religion also. So the question was, I see these trying to maintain stability through difficult times. What are some things you do to stay grounded and get through those times in your life when you just need to get to the other side of a circumstance? I guess family and friends. Talking to family and friends. And since I started walking my path and working also, started studying elemental balancing, I also find a lot of groundedness within my spirituality. In former years, I was quite often, I could get really, when there was something, I could get, some really difficult times, I could get really despaired and sometimes totally freaked out about something, totally in fear, really stuck in fear. But nowadays it's easier, not necessarily the feeling, but the support is more. I have more support, basically. There is a safety net, so to speak, so social safety net, but also this safety net inside to be nurturing with myself when I don't feel like it, when there are certain circumstances where I have to get through. This this is also about mindfulness, in my opinion, because sometimes there are certain bad things that happen that can happen in one's life, and sometimes one can tend to freak out about that. So the ego is quite in a rebellion and freaks out, and everything inside is in turmoil. But when you be focusing on this self-nurturing, self-love aspect, you quite often see that it doesn't serve you at all. But you have to be mindful about that. At least I have to be, because I always tend to freak out quite fast sometimes. And only now I have quite good tools at my hand to calm myself down, and also being calmed down by especially by my boyfriend, who I always tend to say he has this kind of Buddhistic serenity around him. So this kind of he's radiating that, and he isn't easily to be freaked out with certain troubling things. He is always grounded with that, and I try to focus on his groundedness and try to extract a bit of this to my being. So this is my answer to that. So I will stop it here, and I guess I will do a separate I guess I'm not able to talk anymore. I will do a separate big catch-up video on the spreads, and I don't know how to approach it. Maybe the 3 cards together, and maybe the 6 and 9 card. It's not easy. I try to approach them right after this one, but I know it's with the next one, with day 25, with a 3 card significator spread. I always, and I have this also within tarot, I always struggle to frame questions, really. So this would be might be quite an interesting topic to everyone outside who is also oracle, tarot reader, or LenorMarch reader, or everything at once. How do you frame questions? Still have to figure that out, and sometimes I'm quite happy when certain spreads are coming up and with certain questions. And for the Within Without Advice challenge, I also approached this spread like Patrick. in case of what was he saying? What does my tarot friend wants to tell me this morning or so? So this is the way I also try it. This is the only question I frame sometimes. I also developed one spread couple of weeks ago. This was quite okay, but sometimes I struggle. So this is quite would be a fascinating topic. How do you frame questions? Maybe I should do a separate video on that, but at the moment my list is so long, so I won't do it. So I wish you a wonderful day or wonderful night. LenorMarch is almost finished and I still so behind. We will see you soon. Many blessings. Bye.